Hi everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Sitecore User Group India. Today we have Peter with us. Peter is an independent consultant specializing in digital asset management and content operations. And he has a decade of hands-on experience in Sitecore Content Hub. He has been awarded as Sitecore Strategy MVP, and our today's topic is scaling content operations with Sitecore Content Hub. So, the agenda of today's topic is related to the Content Hub, and it's mainly like upgrading to Sitecore XM Cloud is a major step in digital transformation, but a CMS alone isn't enough to keep us with growing demand for content, and that's where the Sitecore Content Hub comes in. And the key points that Peter will cover today are centralized content and assets with an enterprise TAM, streamline collaboration across streams, enable structured workflows across formats and channels, and build a practical path to scalable adoptions. Peter will talk about this topic in detail during the webinar. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to drop it in chat window, and we will try to cover all possible questions at the end of this webinar. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you, Kushbo. Thanks everyone for joining. So very happy to be here today with you all. I'm going to talk today about, Kushbo gave a great introduction, really about scaling content operations and as Kushbo introduced, why I think modernizing the CMS for organizations is modernizing their websites and redesigning for more modern kind of digital experiences is a very necessary step. But I do truly believe that Sitecore content plays a critical role in solving deeper omni-channel content challenges beyond your website. So let's get started. Real quick, for those who don't know me, I'm Petr Mitov, independent DAM content operations consultant. As Kushbo already introduced me, I don't think I need to tell you more than what it is already here, except that I live in Brazil since 2023, so it's been almost 2 years, but working with clients outside of Brazil, primarily North America, UK, Europe, as well as the Middle East. So, right, let's talk about first XM Cloud. In 2024, one of the biggest announcements from Sitecore was that Sitecore XM Cloud achieved 100% revenue growth last year, and it was the company's fastest growing product ever. These are impressive numbers. So, while there's many reasons, I think interest primarily reflects a broader shift across a lot of industries and companies moving to more modern cloud-native headless CMS solutions and you can get a lot of benefits from this, right? Market agility, enterprise scalability, improved delivery speed, really just ultimately ensuring that your site is faster, it's built more quicker, and gives agility for marketers and developers managing these experiences. While that CMS modernization is an important step, it's just the beginning of laying the foundations for digital transformation. I think there's a lot more than just the CMS. So organizations aren't really solving deeper underlying challenges that are, truly prevalent beyond those digital teams responsible for web strategy and digital strategy. So we're talking about disconnected content teams, inefficiencies in getting content ready for your campaigns, getting content ready for market, lack of governance and reuse. There's, the lack of reuse is actually creating a higher cost to create content. And usually that's an external cost with your digital agencies. So these are not CMS problems, they're operational problems, content lifecycle problems otherwise, as I often say. And that's what we'll focus on today. So just to continue a little bit on kind of that on that challenge topic, content today is created everywhere. Marketing teams build campaigns, product teams write descriptions, features and benefits, spec sheets, and these go on different channels, right? So different, it can go on the website, can go on e-commerce, can go on point to sale. And designers and agencies create visuals and videos. Sales and regional teams adapt content for local markets. Creating sales enablement for your sales teams is also another kind of yeah, another content, let's say, operation that is often overlooked. And now AI tools, especially, are generating content at much larger scale, allows teams to create content at larger scale and increasing compliance and reliability concerns. Now, everyone is concerned that what comes out on the other end of a GPT or LLM is it reliable? Is it of quality? And is it going to be relevant for our customers? So but none of it lives in one place. All this content is scattered across CMS, customer relationship management systems, PLMs, shared drives, email threads, and even on the classic USBs, USB sticks, or FTP servers if we're talking about very outdated technology. So this all creates content chaos. What content chaos really is it's introducing teams duplicate efforts. Nobody knows what is approved or is final, and content is inconsistent across channels. And time to market slows down ultimately. mm, um, so that's a really a big kind of problem here. A modern CMS alone can't fix this. A headless CMS alone cannot solve these challenges. And it doesn't cover upstream planning, collaboration, or internal approvals. And it doesn't cover the upstream kind of need to aggregate information together to create a holistic content view, a holistic content strategy. Because you don't just have content for your website or content coming from the dam. You also have oftentimes you need to aggregate with product content or from a master data management system or an ERP system. So all of this is a content operations problem. It's not a CMS issue. And so while modernizing your CMS with XM Cloud coupled with personalization addresses front-end digital experiences that are contextually relevant to your customers, teams are still working in silos, storing assets in disconnected tools, or storing assets in the CMS media library that doesn't address needs for organizing your assets and content, so making them easily findable and searchable and so on, and being well structured. There's no single source of truth for content as teams still store in SharePoint and Dropbox and OneDrive. Metadata and taxonomy are inconsistent and missing. Approval processes happen manually or outside the system, create inefficiencies, creating all that kind of inefficient processes. And even when content is created, it's hard to scale and reuse it across all channels. So this impacts governance, time to market, and the overall customer experience. Making sure that all these customer experiences are on brand and are consistent and relevant. So modern CMS platforms, again, like XM Cloud, improve the front end experience, give more agility to developers and marketers working together to create these experiences. But unless content operations are modernized too, so more upstream in our marketing landscape, in our enterprise landscape, the backend stays messy. So that upstream backend is your is a critical component of what the front end customer experiences become. So to truly scale, you need a structure across that full backend. Well, in fact, from backend to front end, your full content lifecycle and not just the website on the front end. So this is where Sitecore Content Hub comes in as way more than just a dam to replace an outdated CMS media library. Oftentimes, we do start that journey with, hey, we need to move to a modern CMS, XM Cloud, and we need to consolidate our media libraries that were, disorganized and so on. But this goes way beyond more than just that. Content Hub is an omni-channel content platform built to unify how content is planned, created, managed, and delivered across the enterprise. So it it helps bring structure to fragmented operations and helps teams work together using one source of truth for content across all channels. And so if I just kind of dive into a little bit more that overall positioning, um, Content was created with a holistic vision to unify marketing content and streamline enterprise-wide collaboration, rather than just being just a DAM or CMS extension with better media library functionality. Content truly aims to centralize structured content management, acting as the connective tissue between systems and departments, and transforming content from a, let's say, tactical necessity into a strategic and scalable asset across the enterprise. So this is why we see content as the kind of a content value chain accelerator, content value chain foundational um, supporter. So by assisting in aggregating content from various source systems, which you see on the left side of the screen here, on the left side of this chart, all these upstream systems contain source content, source information about whether this is our products or data or assets or brands or metadata. So all of this content, wherever it sits today, the vision is to bring it all together to add more value to your content and assets. Again, ultimately enhancing the content value chain. And where content is aggregated and organized according to unique business model in Content Hub, that solution is unique that in that it truly understands your business model, your brand, your products and services mix. And so the metadata that ties everything together for your it ties everything together for your go-to-market strategy. Um, with capabilities like digital asset management, of course, content marketing, marketing work management, product content management. Content Hub helps you to create a marketing content repository that reflects an organization's business model. So this allows organizations to create workflows that align with their marketing strategy, team structures, working practices, collaboration with their global and regional kind of global teams, as well as external collaboration with agencies. And it also aims to provide capabilities to interface all that with all downstream channels to publish content everywhere, right? So all this comes together forming a content value chain, as I said before. And while content provides a very large breadth of marketing operations tools, your journey doesn't start immediately by adopting the most complex workflows and governance processes. So you're not going to start from the beginning building all of these capabilities and aggregating all of your different enterprise systems into Content. Organizations typically start by adopting the foundational capabilities and continue building out more advanced capabilities as their journey continues and maturity grows in maturity in DAM and content operations overall. So let's look at how Content Hub's range of capabilities, starting with an intelligent DAM for secure AI-powered digital asset management. This is where kind of organizations typically start with consolidating their siloed digital assets and content into one single source of truth. So this is kind of that foundational uh, beginning phase. And then the flexible entity model allows organizations to define custom content structures in bespoke workspaces, making it adaptable for various needs. As some of you know, this is a unique capability in Content Hub. Organizations looking to get value from their total investments should really pay attention on how that can be solving unique business challenges for their teams and existing tech stack. There's a lot to say about this one, but keeping in mind that it's a unique capability that can deliver unique value from your investment in Content Hub beyond the basic DAM functionality, right? Then the digital apps connector ensures seamless integration with creative and productivity tools. And then as organizations, content operations mature, usually coupled with a leadership push for better governance, efficiency, visibility across content strategy, more advanced content operations can be adopted where content teams manage their production with centralized governance and workflows. So that's the content marketing platform. CMP enables modular content lifecycle automation and omni-channel distribution. All right. So this typically starts with their main channel distribution needs, usually the website. But if you're in an industry like travel entertainment industry, let's say travel industry in general, you might have more explicit omni-channel needs, and the website might not be the main channel. Might be an app, might be an IoT, well, or on multiple microsites that are not built on a typical CMS kind of infrastructure. So that's where doing that kind of structured content into one single place and distributing across multiple places. So create once, distribute in many channels. That's where it really becomes a major differentiator. Marketing projects, or what we also call this, the marketing work management, marketing resource management module. It helps teams efficiently plan, track, and manage content production and campaigns. So this is where content operations maturity really shapes up to build solutions and processes that take control of the entire process for cross teams collaboration and governance. Really being able to manage your whole campaign and project deliverables and tasks across the team, across global and regional markets. Lastly, the content publisher. That allows marketers to create graphics at scale for digital and print through customizable smart templates. So this is usually adopted in industries where digital content is produced in multiple regions and localizations by local marketing teams with a lot of a lot of volume, but little design variation. So therefore, customizable smart templates can really cut down costs of digital content production, right? This is an add-on to the Content Hub set of capabilities. So we looked at how Content Hub capabilities get gradually adopted across organizations and their needs evolve. As their needs evolve, that gets gradually adopted. Now let's look at actually how let's how that actually um, that typical content operations maturity journey looks like for an organization. So ultimately, scaling content operations is a gradual evolution, not an instant transformation. Organizations typically start in an ad hoc ops state. That's where content is fragmented across siloed repositories, still managed in multiple CMSs. You have your digital assets across different media libraries, across different SharePoint folders, and so on, with manual workflows, typically involving email, Word, and Excel. The obvious ones, and that leads to inefficiencies and duplication ultimately. And the first step towards maturity is centralization and structure. Consolidating your assets, using them with structured metadata and taxonomy to create consistency. So as organizations progress through that journey, they move into that structured stage where content governance begins to take shape. While maybe workflows are still largely departmental and ad hoc. So we're not going to do that workflow we're not going to put everything at once. We're going to start by structuring and centralizing the content and digital assets in one place. That's basic governance and processes. Then, as organizations mature further, the integration stage is where cross-team collaboration and integration happens. Typically, marketing, digital experience, sales, product teams work together within shared workflows, leveraging automation and structured content for kind of partial omni-channel use. So you may have more than just one channel leveraging the DAM beyond the website. And this is something that, we see, uh, the more adoption your dam gets, the more teams start using it, and the more um, enterprise kind of collaboration starts shaping, and that's critical for a well-adopted digital asset management solution in general. So um, yeah, at the optimized stage, the last kind of final stage that I think could be talked about is where content operations are fully enterprise-wide with AI pipelines and agentic workflows, of course, these days. Automation through business rules, personalization starts to take shape for delivering, relevant experiences across your different channels, and modular content reuse, enabling that efficient omni-channel content delivery. So while each stage increases efficiency, and that's kind of that vertical line here. So the value attained is typically efficiency, reuse, and time to market, velocity, but it also requires process maturity. So you need that kind of better governance. You need operating models and change management to adopt and level up in the curve of maturity. And Sitecore Content Hub is that enabler that helps organizations progress through this journey efficiently. That's so I think one of the most crucial one to align with your stakeholders is this, right? Is scaling content of adoption is not an overnight transformation. It requires a phased approach to ensure long-term success. You need to work on a roadmap to provide the business a structured way to implement content hub, starting with foundational steps and gradually expanding to full enterprise adoption. So let's go through the key kind of phases here that I think are very relevant. Um, Phase one, discovery and MVP definition, really understanding business needs. We want to start by aligning with this business stakeholders to identify priorities and pain points. Why are we here today? What are we trying to achieve? What is the core kind of problems that the organization is trying to solve with this program? The goal is to define a minimal valuable product. What problems do we solve first? What is the critical path, and how do we measure success as that first phase? Um, Common priorities include eliminating content silos, improving governance, and increasing content reuse. Phase two, building a scalable content model. So before we migrate any content, we need structure. So that kind of foundation. This means defining metadata taxonomy, defining the whole data model as one part, and the second is role governance as the second part. So to ensure consistency and kind of secure access. We also validate the content model with real use cases before rolling it out at scale. There may be some workflow work around what's our process today and how is it gonna be adopted into the solution and technology as well. So in that phase is kind of that definition of the foundational, building that foundation, and then piloting with a couple of key user teams, let's say. Then once we've centralized and migrated content, now that we have a structured model, we can consolidate and start migrating content into a single source of truth. So this is where, you know, we can build the best solution ever, but if there's no content in it, at the start, usually organizations need their content migrated from multiple places. So that's also pretty critical. Migration, I think, should be phased. So prioritizing high impact content first is to minimize disruption. And it typically starts with all content that is required for website redesign. If you're working on a content project as part of a larger website redesign and web migration project, As I alluded earlier with XM Cloud CMS modernization initiatives, this is typically the case. Um, and so phase four, I think enabling cross-team workflows and integrations is a critical one, right? Content Hub is more than just a repository. It's an operational platform. At this stage, we connect workflows across teams. So this is where the more advanced workflows come in place. But not just workflows from, let's say, a technology perspective, but also workflows on the way teams work together across different teams like marketing, sales, and e-commerce. And this is all about also about governance and how do these teams take ownership of their own content? Maybe marketing owns certain types of content and sales other types of content. And then how do they work together to create a consistent operation? And having and the so different teams working together is not the only thing. It's also how different systems work together. So it's all about integrations here at this phase as well. It's enabling your DAM across the enterprise landscape. You need to integrate it with obviously your website CMS, web CMS, but also other backend systems that you may need to integrate, aggregate content across different backend systems into Content Hub, as well as downstream to integrate your Content Hub into your CRM or other channels, e-commerce that might require content to be pushed across. And finally, phase five is a kind of that automate and optimize content operations phase. Once workflows are in place, we introduce more automation from AI-powered tagging to workflow automation and omni-channel distribution to um, anything like kind of that introduces more automated workflows and repetitive tasks can become um, like kind of quick wins for automation. This phase focuses on scalability and long-term efficiency, but also optimizing really processes and um, structured metadata. We look at how can the solution be further optimized and scaled. So I think by following this roadmap, organizations can see quick wins early while setting up a foundation for enterprise-wide transformation um, in the long run. So the key to success is starting small, providing value, and scaling strategically. All right, so just kind of a couple of last things I'll talk about. To fully leverage Sitecore content, organizations must also look beyond just marketing and basic DAM capabilities. As I talked about earlier, I think this is quite obvious. I mean, different teams across the business benefit from structured content operations. So here are a few examples of how the whole enterprise can benefit from a solution like that. Marketing teams, Marcom teams can streamline campaign execution and maintain brand consistency and governance across their brand assets. Sales teams can ensure access to the latest approved collaborator, reducing outdated materials, and just basically streamline the sales enablement, content creation, and approval. Um, Product and UX teams, just really product you can centralize product content with structured descriptions and features and enrich product assets easily. E-commerce teams can optimize product catalogs for digital channels and automate these kind of e-commerce workflows. Digital experience teams, the also the one that we are also very focused on these days with website modernization projects. So, but how can they also benefit is from pulling out structured content from your CMS that your teams are producing at scale. So high volume, little variation in layout. So that structured content can be managed with Content Hub CMP. Think about um, you know, thought leadership content, case studies, any kind of blogs, any kind of content that is created with high volume, with structure, with consistent structure, and it's primarily kind of that kind of the majority of that content work is the authoring part. And if there's also need for, let's say, more advanced workflow and collaboration that typically is not done in the CMS, that's definitely a great candidate to be adopted with the content of CMP module. So letting the CMS be responsible for the web-based content and layout experience building, while the structured content and authoring is managed within content of CMP capability. So, yeah, and the last one that I wanted to talk about, corporate communications and HR. So really just the ability to more efficiently manage structured press releases, announcements, internal content, onboarding materials for new employees, training resources, policy docs, all that kind of good stuff. So this cross-functional alignment accelerates content maturity and eliminates redundancies. So kind of reinforcing content as an enterprise-wide asset. And I think that this is the key, one of the most key things about adopting content across the enterprise is to look beyond the team that is going to benefit from it the most, because you will find other use cases and other teams that will also benefit from kind of to unlocking their operational efficiency as well. Right. I think that's it from my end. Um, Went quicker than I think it was foreseen. Hoping to get any feedback or if there's any questions.
If anyone has any questions, they can unmute themselves and discuss with Peter.
Thanks, Praful.
Raful, if you have any
Hello.
questions, you can
Hey,
unmute. Yeah, we can hear you.
yes, as a quick question, Peter. So now I have seen implementations when people or companies have been happy with the media library to keep their assets. What's the threshold you would say? And probably a very basic question. What's the threshold to say that okay, now moving to a DAM like a content hub would provide the promised ROI, if at all? You get my question? What number of
Threshold in
assets
what
would you
sense?
say?
In terms of,
So let's say that the
yep,
quantity of assets. So let's say, for example, right now, probably I have, I don't know, 10,000 images, for example. Like my videos are already sitting in a different CDN, like Brightcove. So I'm not
yeah,
hosting.
video is definitely, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
What
special
number of
case. Yep.
what number of images or PDF documents would you say it would make sense to say, okay, now moving to a DAM makes sense rather than still keeping it in media library? So a very
I don't think I have a hard number, to be honest,
okay,
but
but a
this is
range.
typically, yeah, typically I would say if it's beyond a couple of thousand, then
Okay.
and it also depends on the amount of, um I mean, how many folders do you have in the media library? Like if you've got a couple of folders in there and you're happy with your structure right now and it's not too many assets that you're using, that's but honestly, I don't really have a well-defined threshold. It's really, it depends case by case. I think what you said, 10,000, yes, definitely. If you got 10,000 assets in your media library, then you have to definitely look for a dam. I think
Okay,
that's
cool. Okay, thank you for that answer because we have been like, I have been contemplating sometime back as to would Content Hub as a DAM make sense to rather have the media assets in the library because we also have another CDN for the images as well that delivered through a CDN partner, so it doesn't normally hit the media library every image call. It hits the CDN, the CDN gives the cached image, and we're not
yep.
hitting the media library as such within the Sitecore space. So kind of been working good and trying to put a business case to see if it would like not a business case yet, but at least a comparison to say, okay, this would help. And I was trying to see what's the base number that you will be looking at. Thank you for your answer. I don't
Yeah.
want to put you on.
No, and I think there's a lot more, a lot of other criteria that I think should be considered
Mm-hmm.
is also like, look, you can't structure your assets in the media library in the way that you would structure them in Content Hub, metadata tagging, taxonomy, workflows. There's just a lot more value that you get from them, from a Content Hub, than storing everything in media library. And also key thing is that the media library is not an enterprise asset. It's the media library is purely for the CMS team. It's purely for your website. And that's the whole point. A DAM goes beyond a single team. It's supposed to be for your whole organization. It's an enterprise-wide asset.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think thank you for the answer. As you said correctly, right? It's not just the quantity of images, but also like what else is involved, the criteria. There are a lot of other benefits to the NAM.
Yeah.
Again, to be honest with you, the number, the dollar amount that's attached to the Content Hub also puts a lot of questions in our stakeholders' mind as to the ROI on the investment, because it's going to be a lot of user training,
Yeah.
asset migration. There's a lot of things involved, but I get your point. Right? It's a big business case to push
It
push up
is.
for.
And that's where it
Thank
starts with. You start by building a business case, I think,
you.
primarily. Uh, Interesting question. Yeah. A lot to talk. There's a lot to talk about this one.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that.
No worries. Perfect. Thank you. Good question. Happy to answer anything else. If not, I guess it was all clear.
Yeah. If there are no more questions, then we can close. And if you guys still have any questions, you can reach out to me or Peter on any social platform, and we would be happy to help you. Thank you all. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Bye bye.